All right, everybody, welcome to another week of the Safety Extreme podcast here on Game Wisdom. I am, of course, Josh Blaser. This is our weekly show discussing game design and industry topics with my co host, owner, and designer at Nexus Games, Sharky.
Hello. Good to be back this week as normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a week for sure.
It's been an expensive week over here, I think.
It's been oh yeah, you've been looking at monitors and everything. Did you finally figure out which one you wanted to go with?
I think I want to go with something that's at least like 144. I think, was it Hertz or whatever it is? I don't think I need anything more powerful than that.
Well, I mean that's not necessarily power. That's a power
refresh rate.
consuming.
Yeah.
That's a load, I guess you'd call it.
Mm-hmm. And I think I still want to keep to something like I don't need anything higher than 1920 by 1080. Well, I guess what do you think of that?
Yeah, like for me personally, I wanted to go with higher hertz and less. I really don't care about resolution.
Yeah.
But like, I would, probably like if I had your system, you have what a 1080?
Yeah.
1080. Yeah, I would have probably gone 140, 180, somewhere in that hertz rate kind of thing for two monitors. That sounds like you should be able to get 60 or 140 or 180 in all games kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least a vast majority of them.
Yeah.
Although, going the higher refresh rate, you might have a little bit of issues with some of the jankier games.
Mm.
The ones that don't even run at 1080p. Don't have a volume slider kind of thing. You might have a little bit more issues with those because you're now running a non-standard hertz rate. You'll probably get more tearing and stuff.
Yeah, good old verbal sync there.
Yeah. But hopefully it's not bad. But, in the end, it's going to more highlight the bad stuff from these games kind of thing. So, yeah.
And of course, it's been the holiday season, or I guess Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and all that. So there have been a lot of game sales. I think I've picked up 20 different games in the last week, thanks to bundles and gifts and whatnot.
Yeah, wait a minute, there's a sale?
No.
I would have never thought there'd be a sale this time.
I thought my opponent is Ninja, Ryu. Wait, I'm going to PewDiePie now? Oh, yes, so many games. And
I thought you were going after, what's his name? Dr. Disrespect.
Oh, good. Pony gifted me Yakuza 7, and of course Total War 3 Kingdoms I need to play. And I bought Death Stranding on sale, so that's another like 30-hour movie for us to watch?
I mean, I don't think you have time in the stream to go to the first cutscene.
One cutscene will take us to the end of the stream, I think.
No, it'd probably take you about an hour or two after.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go for a long stream.
And
it's going to be one of those streams like watching the Game Awards kind of thing, because it'll just be, whole lots of not much of anything. And like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, pretty much. But we certainly have a lot to get to. We have, of course, some news that's happened this week, and some very weird games that are coming out come in the next week or so.
He might have to do the 24-hour stream just to get through the first cutscene of Death Stranding.
The credits is probably at least 8 hours alone.
Yeah.
So, I guess to get things started with, how is everything going with you and Project Continuum? Or Nexus Continuum?
Or Neon
There
Continuum.
we go. Too many names to keep track of. Try a continuum.
Triad Continuum. What about Neon Triad?
There we go.
Yeah, like I think I'm finally starting to get over calling it Project Triad. Starting to, and
There
just
you go.
getting finally starting to get into calling it Neon Continuum. And now here you go.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to drag me right back down that hole that I'm trying to escape. It's like I clawed my way out of this deep hole, and I'm just grasping the grass at the edge kind of thing, and then all of a sudden here comes Josh jumping on my legs and pulling me down. But things are progressing. Like the UI, it's gotten really good. I think I've developed the new energy card. I think it's looking pretty good right now. I wanted to put a lot more details on it, but I don't think I'm going to, because there's just so many layers of things that I think if I detail the city the way I want to, everything's just going to get lost, kind of thing, and it's just going to do it a disservice. I think and it's all honest work, but I think that doing that work is going to possibly make it worse, kind of thing. I mean, it's still not done yet, but I think that I'm going to have to seriously consider not going all in like I wanted to. But it's looking really good. Done several tweaks to a lot of things, adjusted things, put everything together in a layout. We actually have a version that is not good looking by any means, but we actually have a version with all the assets in it, kind of thing, that is in actual engine now.
Nice.
The question is can we actually get it all the way to the playable state before the next dev chat, which is Saturday, and this Saturday on the 5th? And the answer to that is probably not. But we're going to damn try. So if you want to come and play it, if it does happen to get to that point, come join the Discord. Which link is down in the description. But lots of little things have been happening. We're not going full steam on programming yet, but hopefully today maybe we'll get that started full steam. Or should I call it full valve?
There you go.
But yeah, that's going good, and been playing, I wouldn't say a lot of games, but I've been playing a lot of a few games.
Charlie's like, are you up to 6 o'clock in the morning playing 7 Days to Die now?
No. See, yesterday was a hell of a day. Yesterday I woke up, and pretty much as soon as I woke up, we started playing 7 Days, and we played from which I think I woke up around 11 a.m., 12 noon kind of thing, and we played all the way up until like 8 o'clock, which where we lost one of our players kind of thing, and we quit. And then after that, the other player wanted to play Ark, and was just going to play that solo, but I promised that person that I would play with them. So I was like, they were just like, I'm going to go in there and refresh my skills and whatnot. It's like, well, I need to go in there and build my skills, period. And we went in there and played. And of course, the random gen gave us the worst world we could possibly get, according to the other player kind of thing. Like we had gotten a world where it's like, okay, the dangerous stuff is on that island. We don't go over there, kind of thing. And one of the main threats over there on that island is a Spinosaurus. And we happen to have him be like, hey, there's a newbie island. Let me swim over there. And swim over there and completely blocked us off. And then, like, the intermediate island, somehow there was a Spinosaurus there, too. And then after all that, like one of the most OP creatures on there, to a certain point, is the raptors kind of thing. And they apparently have some alpha, versions of these, which are like the OP versions that of apparently all dinosaurs kind of thing. And we had a alpha raptor spawn on our newbie island, and everything died horribly. Like,
is that safely extreme to have like a nightmare spawn on Newbie Island?
yeah, that is. I mean, it was only like a level, I think 12, but it was I think the alpha ones are like the equivalent of like adding like 100 or 200 levels to it.
Yeah,
so it was like a level 212 or something. And that thing, like base HP is like 100, and I built everything a lot into HP, and I had a 200 kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that giant, Spinosaurus, which is really powerful, he would sit there and, like 4-hit me kind of thing, even with all my HP. But that raptor, that level 12 raptor that was alpha, that thing freaking 2-hit me. And it would 2-hit me like I would attack it if I could get in the range. But like, let's say that I would attack it and turn to run away, right? Well, I would attack it. Before I completely turned, I already got 1 hit. And then I take 2 steps forward, second hit, and I'm dead.
Yeah. Sounds about right for these kinds of games when you get the high level guy.
Yeah, it was really really broken. But besides that, I actually had quite a bit of fun. Which I really bounced off of Ark originally, but it was pretty fun this time.
All right. Let's see. So in terms of game news this week, there's a few, I think, notable stories, and let's start with the one that you brought up about Cave Story. So, what's happening with the Cave Story developer and Nicalis?
Well, nothing specifically with the developer that I've heard of, anyway. But basically, there's a whole mess right now with Cave Story and who potentially owns the rights to it and whatnot. And that's been going on for a while. Josh would probably be better explaining that. You want to go for that?
Well, I don't know too much about it, other than I remember hearing that the publisher of Cave Story, or at least the kind of the up-to-date version of it, was Nicalis. And I think due to some kind of legal loopholes and whatnot, they ended up basically taking ownership of the game from the original developer and basically cutting him out of all the proceeds of the sales. And it basically gave Nicalis a very bad name. And it makes a lot of people still wonder why, like, Emmett McMillan worked with them so much on the Binding of Isaac reboots and expansions.
Yeah, there's been lots of questions in there about that, and according to everything, he still owns the IP, but that ownership of the IP basically means nothing. So he's owner in theory of the IP, not in practice, kind of thing. It seems like, or maybe he owns just enough to stop them from making a sequel or something along that lines. I don't know what it is. But right now the latest controversy is now that the original Cave Stories was originally a freeware kind of thing, because that predated like basically Steam, essentially, or at least Steam opening to indies in any way. And it was a freeware game on the PC and everything, and had was easily distributed and everything before Nistalis, or whatever the company name is, got a hold of it. And now Nistalis is DMCAing everybody for distributing that version of the freeware game. claiming that they own it. They own all the trademark and all this stuff for the freeware version. And I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the legal rights behind that, but I'm unsure. I'm really unsure if they actually have the legal right here. Like they definitely don't have the moral right, because that is very, very wrong and very, very bad and everything. I just don't know in the court of, the court. I know in the court of opinion, they definitely lose horribly, but in the court of actual law, question is does trademark go down to freeware versions that were there before you owned the trademark? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're in the legal right or not, but I know they're very heavily in the moral wrong. They're very heavily in the court of opinions wrong. I just don't know if this went to court, what would happen, kind of thing. Yeah. Well, actually, I still wouldn't know, but like I don't have an idea of what would happen because I don't know the laws around that exact kind of thing.
Yep. And like I said, like it's been very like disturbing to like see like what's been going on in the college. So I emailed them several times while I was writing my book because I wanted to get some footage of the Binding of Isaac, and they never got back to me. And there's certainly been a lot of sketchiness surrounding that company for the longest time.
Oh yeah, there's a long history apparently of that company ghosting everybody. Like they'll get a deal with the developer, and then the second they get that deal, they never talk to them again. And I'm sure the same is with any kind of content creators or anything like that want to talk to them in any kind of way. They just ghost the heck out of everybody.
Yeah,
it seems.
And again, while you have to be really careful when it comes to publishers and such, especially if you're an indie developer, because most indie devs don't have the clout or the finances to fight this stuff if it goes awry.
Yeah, which is a reason why I say, as an indie developer, you should be looking at self-publishing. Now, that does not mean self-marketing necessarily. Because, like, if you're not skilled at marketing, hire a marketing person. That there's not a substitution for marketing. Not self-publishing does not say, "Oh, I don't need to market my game." You still need to market your game, and you still need to do it well, kind of thing. But and if you cannot do it, which means if you were looking for a publisher, you probably couldn't. You need to hire somebody. Hire somebody that is good. Keep in mind that good is subjective, as well as like it's hard to find unless you're a marketer, kind of thing. And I'm very much a rookie marketer. I am, and when I say rookie marketer, I mean like it. There's a what I would say is there's like somebody who has no idea what they're doing but tries their hardest, kind of thing, which would be like a 5-year-old trying to draw an image, kind of thing. And that is definitely not what you want to do. That's not what I would consider rookie. That's doing it with no knowledge, kind of thing. And then there's like somebody who's average in like the first year of art school, kind of thing, and it's like they've studied some techniques, they've got some stuff down, but they're not great or anything. That would be a rookie. That's where I'm at in marketing, kind of thing. But like if you're looking for a marketer, kind of thing, my advice would be, first, befriending some marketers that do not have time to work on your game but are definitely interested in it. AKA, people who want the best for you, kind of thing, and know what they're doing but don't want your money because they're busy doing other stuff. Befriend them, ask them for advice and everything, ask them about this marketer, do they know what they're talking about, kind of thing. And then befriend a few people, kind of thing, so you have multiple points of advice, and then based off of that, have that help you come to your decision on hiring somebody, kind of thing.
And again, like this is one of the things we need to get Tim back on. Because again, he did marketing for a living before he got
Mm-hmm.
into game dev, so he knows a lot more about this. And I'm working on a post for this week talking about essentially the three things you need to have as a developer if you want to succeed. And one of them is you gotta know about marketing or have somebody who has marketing, in your corner. Because like you said, if you don't know this stuff, and we've seen this many times before, you can have an amazing game and nobody ever hears of it.
Yeah.
Or, you run into something like with Among Us that, it was a decent game, but it took 2 years for people to actually notice that this game was out. And
Yeah.
that's not good.
Yeah. Not good on so many levels. Somebody I was talking to a while back, not a while back, a few days ago, was saying that they feel like art is part of marketing, and for a certain point, I would agree with them, but at the same time, I would disagree, kind of thing.
It's part of it, but, like, you need to have art in order to show people, but the skills of marketing, I think, would be different than the skills that go into art. Just like the skills that go into programming and design.
Yeah, I would consider art not part of marketing, but rather a prerequisite,
Mm-hmm.
for your game, kind of thing. Like it's like you have to have a prerequisite of, like, let's say D&D. You have to have a prerequisite of being able to know to use, I don't know, normal weapons, kind of thing, normal weapon proficiency, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And that, which gives you the ability to use an axe, sword, all that kind of thing. Daggers, all kinds of things. And then it's a completely separate thing where you get your feat that allows you to dual wield, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you have to be able to use the weapons before you could even dream about dual wielding, but there's nothing about dual wielding that is part of the knowing how to use basic weapons, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think we do. Excuse me. At some point, we need to think about maybe having like Tim on for one of these shows, and we can just like grill him on marketing when he's not busy developing his game.
Yeah, maybe you could do like another show like you do with Tomo, kind of thing.
Yeah. Let's see. Another bit of news this week: the Marvel's Avengers game has failed to meet the Square Enix sales targets, which I know that comes as a complete shock to everyone watching this right now. Are you surprised, Shark?
Honestly, yes, because like I expected that thing to, succeed, even though it was a complete pile of crap.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of AAA games do, like most EA games do. Like they're horrible pieces of crap, but yet they succeed wildly, kind of
Yeah.
thing. They make billions and billions of dollars, kind of thing. But like which calls into question: are consumers starting to be aware of shitty games and avoid them,
Maybe.
or is this just a kind of lucky fluke in that kind of thing?
Well, it sounds like a lot of their money went towards advertising, obviously, and that ate up a whole lot of their revenue for it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is something I think this could be a topic for a future show about trying to design modest games that you're not trying to put everything and anything into your game and hope that it succeeds. And it's something a lot of people have been discussing about trying to scale back AAA development, because it sounded like if they would have just kept to the single player campaign, maybe having a few updates here and there, it probably would have been a success. Would it have been, Minecraft, Fortnite levels of success? No. But it would have probably have financially been a success for them.
Yeah, it would have probably done that. They said they lost, I think, $67 million on it so far. Right now, they're in the
Mm.
red by $67 million. And get this, according to them, that they're not actually stopping developing on the game. They're keep on going,
They're doing
which
the
which
Anthem strategy.
which I don't know if that's just them trying to quell their consumer base. Like, hey, it's not going to stay a shitty game, and then it actually stays a shitty game the entire time. or if they're going to sink more money into this game to lose, because there is no waiting for this game as far as I can see.
I hate
they will
this.
have to basically gut the entire thing and make a new game basically out of the parts of it, rather than improving this game.
I'm going to say something very mean, but I kind of wish that No Man's Sky didn't turn out well in the end. Because I think it kind of justified that kind of long-term development behavior for a lot of developers.
I don't honestly think that's mean. Like a lot of people aren't going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I was definitely looking very much forward to No Man's Sky. After like me now talking about playing Ark, and I've always been playing 7 Days kind of thing for many years, and like I really love that kind of game, and I really want to play that kind of game, and I was really looking forward to No Man's Sky, and I almost pre-ordered it, and I looked into investigated it. It's like, yeah, there's they're 1 week from launching. There's this thing has been out and around for like 2-3 years kind of thing in the news. And yet, all I see is the exact same one video everywhere. There's nothing else. It's like, this is seeming like a scam right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is questionable. I'm going to not pre-order and
I think
wait
you
and see.
dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, I definitely dodged a bullet. And usually, like if it's a game like that does a pre-order, either I get the pre-order or I never buy the game.
Yeah.
Because every time I've not got the pre-order kind of thing, I've not bought the game, because like there's normally a reason that I investigate for and find out, this is very questionable, this is red flags kind of thing, and I'm going to hold off, and then just it doesn't surprise me. It does exactly what the red flags point to, or worse, kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to touch it. And No Man's Flag did that exact thing. And I hear it's a lot better game now, but I'm not going to support it. Like no matter how much I want to play it and whatnot, I'm not going to support it. I'm not going to pay for it. And their next game they come out with, I'm not buying it either. But if their next game comes out I'll be watching their next game, and if their next game comes out and it goes through good kind of thing, it's not a freaking horrible mess kind of thing, maybe if I'm interested in their third game, maybe I'll touch it. But like, I'm definitely not touching No Man's Sky unless I get it for free. I'm not paying 99 cents for it. Like, it could go on deep sale for 99 cents. I'm not letting a single cent go to the developer, because that train wreck, that very bad thing for the industry, definitely deserves to be fought against.
I will probably get it if it is either on super deep discount or it's like part of a humble bundle where I know it's going to go to other developers and such like that.
I mean, humble's a different story kind of thing. If I got it from Humble, I would make sure that no money went to the developers and all to charity.
All right, but let's see. I don't think there's anything.
Thorin says we have to forgive and move past mistakes. Yeah, but the thing is the mistake is ongoing. You can't forgive, and you can't forgive something until it's over, aka until No Man's Sky is over. Until that game is done, you can't forgive it. And you need something to build up trust again, aka the next game, before you can really invest seriously into the one after it. You can't just, forgive willy-nilly.
Let's see. And
because
again,
AAA depends on that.
and like we've said, there's definitely another topic. I think we've talked about is about games that, try to have a bounce back after a failed launch, and it's always a very sticky situation. I think it's something that you can't. I think it differs from developer to developer.
Yeah, usually they're completely different situations than No Man's Sky, though.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the fact is that the game was not good enough, and then they made it good enough, kind of thing. And that's a completely different story from people outright lying to you and marketing the heck out of you to stuff that didn't exist, kind of thing. And while like definitely publishers like Sony had a hand in that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
the fact is the lead developer, also had a major hand in it.
All right. Let's get to some of our weird games, and then we'll get to our main topic. So I'm going to have to switch things around here. Give me 1 second.
I don't think marketing only works on vulnerable consumers. It works on everybody. It just works on different degrees. Vulnerable consumers are more vulnerable to it than not vulnerable ones.
All right, so our first game is Get Over It, and I chose this one. Oh, are you still there?
Yeah, hold on a second. Come on. Okay, there we go.
All right, so this one I chose for I love this mechanic down here. Faded dice will roll and polymorph you every 8 steps. So every 8 steps, your character randomly changes into something else. And it just reminds me we were making fun of games that like would just go like random control schemes.
Yeah. And this is pretty close to that.
Mm-hmm. Play with keyboard and controller.
At the same time. With swapping controls between them.
Mm-hmm. From an art point of view, it doesn't look all that inviting, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely very, very cheap art. Like it's not bad art. It's unfinished. There's not enough detail or character to these things. It feels like this is like the start of art kind of thing. Well, maybe not the start, but this is like when everything's roughed out, everything is like, yeah, this is kind of the general look we're going for. Mm-hmm. And then they add the details and flesh out the art from that point.
Yeah.
And make it look really good. Of course, you don't want to put like all the details in it because pixel art usually looks better with, very, very light in details. But this is like, there's no details basically. I mean, the most amount of details in here is in the walls.
Yeah.
And, the walls, may be close to finished. Although I don't really like those black outlines that break up all the way around it. They should have. That really like there's no black lines anywhere else on the art kind of thing. And it's like that really looks out of place. And the whole like solid sections being purple, I mean that just seems like a dev asset, dev like placeholder thing right there. And just like it should be kind of not technically the same color, but there should be a transition and a similar color in there in that section to black it out and make it look proper kind of thing.
Yeah, and if you look on the fourth thumbnail or fourth screenshot, you can see it's been just copied and pasted. Like the same thing for like the wall if you look in the upper right hand corner of that screenshot.
Yeah, I mean they needed better transitionary tiles and whatnot. And this also looks like random generation too. When you look at the way those tiles are placed, like that looks like a random generation flop kind of thing. Where random generation is like, yeah, there doesn't need to be a too thick wall, but we're going to put a too thick wall here and derp out the art in the process because the art is not built for too wide, thick walls.
Yeah. Let's see.
So does anything on here say that it's random generation?
Yeah, ever-changing dungeons. So 4 themed random dungeons and a boss battle.
It's funny that I'm able to pick out that it's random generation just from this screenshot. And not a very good random generation at that.
Yeah. Alright, but moving on, we turn to... We get to the first screenshot here. Nigel's Journey, A Working Day. And if you were wondering about a game looking very acid flippy...
this is not it. There's no asset flippiness to it. Not at all.
All those enemy soldiers that are dead, they all are unique individuals.
Yeah, and like look at that one guy in the front at the first screenshot. Look at his posture and everything. He looks like he's he's embracing the sun, as he's out there sunbathing. He's like pushing himself up on his back arms, arching his back, and kicking his head back. He's just like, oh, shine on me, the rays of God or whatever. He's really embracing the sun.
And if you go from the first screenshot to the fourth, it looks like almost like completely different assets used for those backgrounds.
Oh yeah, that's looking very Fortnite-y.
And more dead bodies. I don't know why this game just keeps showing dead bodies all over the place.
Probably because the whole gameplay loop is a very generic first-person shooter with let's just spawn. It's not hard enough because all the enemies are derpy and have like shitty AI. So let's just spawn in a ton of them and just have them just rush at them kind of thing. And then you just have to completely mow them all down kind of thing because that's the only way there's any kind of difficulty or any semblance of fun to the most simple of individuals.
And I like office buildings are a lot like labyrinths. Well, that is true. Have you ever some of those office designs can just be like a giant maze, right?
Yeah. Like they were made to be put in games.
For newbies and advanced gamers. Oh, and there's impossible mode. Is impossible mode possible?
No, it's not possible.
Strong points, numerous villains, warlike ambience, and a wide range of weapons.
They say this game is for newbie and advanced because it has difficulty levels.
Yeah. Difficulty levels make everything accessible.
Yeah. I don't think it works that way.
Also, if you look at the third to last screenshot on the warehouse, the perspective looks very off in terms of like those soldiers that he's shooting at.
I don't know. Do they even have heads?
I think they do.
Doesn't look like they have heads to me. The two that he's aiming at?
It's very hard to tell.
Yeah, it is. Like it looks like their heads are cut off or something.
They're so far but not far, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. Let's move on to Equilibrium. Wow. Realms. And this is one of those games that when I first read it, it sounded very interesting. But then the more I look at this, the more like red flags just make themselves apparent.
Definitely a lot of red flags in the art.
Yeah. The UI has that very like mobile look to it. A lot of, circular symbols here.
Yep.
And it looks like the buildings don't look like they're like a part of the environment. Like, it feels like someone just like copy and pasted the building down.
Or what it is that the asset that is on for the buildings and everything does not match, and the trees does not match the ground asset.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing one of the two are assets, if not both.
Yeah, and you can see that the trees are copied and pasted a lot.
Well, that's normal game development,
Yeah.
but like they
Oh.
didn't do it in a good way.
And
They
if you
didn't make it
look...
feel good.
Oh, here's a little challenge. If you look at the third screenshot, do you see something very off about the UI?
That there's like UI everywhere.
Well, there's something particular. Can anyone spot what I'm looking at right now?
The
Where's
pause button.
What was that?
The pause button.
No, but that's a good one. If you look at the bottom where it shows the money, the 9 is actually outside the little box it's supposed to be in.
Yeah, they got it. They screwed up their alignment.
Mm-hmm.
An easy fix. They just need to adjust the
WRF guy.
the X or Y coordinate. I forget which way it is, which way is horizontal, but you
X,
just gotta adjust that by a few pixels, and that would be fixed. That's a very minor issue. But it does go to show that they didn't exactly care.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of put in the post I'm writing that if your game comes off as looking cheap or shoddy, people aren't going to want to give it the time of day.
Now, that's not just looking cheap and shoddy. That's actually being cheap and shoddy. Like they took a screenshot of this. They approved this to be put on there. There's no way they did not notice this.
Yeah. Here's a question, like from setting up like the angles or like just the UI, where it shows year at the top right. Shouldn't that year be like a little bit more to the right?
Which screenshot?
Look at the fourth or third one where it says like year 52, year 53. Like, shouldn't that box be moved a little bit right to align with the rest of the icons?
Yeah. Like, it would be nice if it did.
Yeah, like, that's just, like, sticking out to me.
Yeah. Although, you still want to leave that space there on the outside.
Yeah.
Actually, what I would probably do is move everything else inward rather than move that outwards.
Yeah.
But maybe moving that outwards would be fine. But the fact is there's an inconsistency in the style of the UI because, like, you have like the two pieces of wood here for the year and the money kind of thing, and then you have these weird circles that like just like why, and then you have this weird square with like 4 different triangle things put on it with a bunch of little circles out here. It's like this is like feels like from 3 different games right here, and then you have the circle over here on the where the book is, which doesn't match the other circles, kind of thing. Like this feels like 1, 2, 3, 4 games worth of assets, and then you look at the pause
zoom
and
in, zoom out.
Zoom in and zoom out. That looks like it's from another game. So that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 games that it looks like they got that UI out of. And then like if you look at the crops and everything, that looks out of a different game too. You've got to have visual consistency, and they don't have consistency anywhere. And I'm pretty sure that they heavily used assets. And this is the reason why I say there's nothing wrong with using assets, but at the same time, everything has to be consistent. Which to get everything consistent, you still have to hire an artist to make a pass over the assets to get them, in a consistent form. But by the time you do that, it's almost better if you just hired the artist to make assets from scratch.
Yeah.
Which, what you could do, like the better way to use assets, in my opinion, and, every game is different, but like if you find a really good, very complete pack of assets that look, that fit your game perfectly and look really good kind of thing, get that and then and then hire an artist to do everything else on top of that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not just combining a bunch of assets pack. You're getting one asset pack that you may not even need to touch, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just having other art added to that asset pack to complete it for your particular game. And maybe they need to do little tweaks here and there to that, but it is very, very minor, and you'll save a lot of work that way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of hiring your artist and a lot of effort and cost kind of thing. As long as that because the asset packs are known for saving money, but
Mm-hmm.
if you got to hire an artist to go over and do a pass over every single asset kind of thing, then you're paying for every single asset again kind of thing, and by that point it's probably just as costly as just having them do it all from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lesser product.
Yep. Yeah. And like to Honest Rogue's comment there, like you can, and like to what Shark says, like you can start with assets. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to make sure they all fit together and also touch them up to make sure that, they represent what your game is supposed to be. There are far too many examples of developers who will just copy and paste assets, and even if it looks like it makes sense, it still gives off that very
cheap vibe.
Like somebody's trying to do like a recreation or a what's that term? A reenactment of a place, and they use like the cheapest, worst-looking parts for it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Because the main thing that makes games look good is consistency.
Yep.
Like if you take and look at any of Oxygen Not Included sprites alone, it doesn't look very good.
Mm-hmm.
Does not look very good.
At least not highly detailed.
When they all get put together, though, they look great.
Yeah.
All
right. Moving on, we turn to Chronos Before the Ashes. Now, this is not an indie developer. If you look over here, it's being published by THQ Nordic and Gunfire Games. And I believe Gunfire were the makers of Remnant from the Ashes. So this game has some money and, at this point, I think some pedigree behind it. Because Remnant, I think, turned out better than a lot of people expected. Hey, Eric. Like, speaking about Remnant, Eric comes on. Because we played that together.
You summoned him.
Yeah. Just like we mentioned visual novel, we summoned Draken. This one, it feels like they are putting a very big bet on their unique mechanic. And I think it's going to live or die based off of it. So, the twist of this one is that this looks like it's a traditional Souls-like, or, heavy focus on combat. I like this gif of the character, going in there for the swing and hitting the sky. Because you can just see, how we were talking about how much animation can matter? Like, you can just see him putting the heft behind that swing.
Yeah, and that's very, very hard to do. A lot of that's actually done through keyframes.
Mm-hmm.
Where you hang on keyframes longer, and that's definitely something I've learned since doing my last game kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I definitely did not do that. At least not to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it does have pretty dang solid animation there.
I could check that one out, Eric, if you have a spare key. So, the unique mechanic of this one, and I think this is going, like I said, make or break this game, is the aging mechanic. So every time the player dies, their character grows older. So when they hit certain, I'm assuming certain age milestones, their character is going to change. So when you're younger, you're a lot faster. When you're older, you're going to be slower, but it looks like you'll be using more magic. And I think that's a very risky prospect. Like we've said, you gotta be really careful when you put like a punishment or a mechanic when the player fails like that.
Mm-hmm. Which is one place where rogues definitely excel, because they're able to not do punishment mechanics, but rather bonus mechanics.
Yeah.
They really, like give you more stuff.
Yeah. Also, I just want to say something. The little wizard guy in this GIF, that looks very much like one of the enemies from Remnant. Like one of the elite enemies that had like a cloth over his head. I just wonder if they kind of took that character and like retouched it and changed it around for this game.
Probably.
Yeah. So I mean,
When I looked at the screenshots, though, like the first one, like I don't really care for it. The second one, I really don't care for it. Third one, I really don't care for it.
mm-hmm.
But the fourth one, I think that's a really pretty art right there.
Yeah.
Like I really wish there was a lot more of this kind of art in there, because like I find that really pretty, and like the other stuff is like so drab kind of thing. And there's like, I think there's like 2 screenshots that kind of look like that, and like 10 that look like the other.
Yeah.
And I just like, I really wish there was more of this and less of the other.
Yeah. I like the second to last screenshot with the character like jumping in the air and trying to stab that guy with a spear.
Yeah, that is another one of those.
The final one I don't like. It's just so nondescript. Like I don't know what's happening in this one other than, particle effect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice, Nikita. We're like, and like time or limited time kind of mechanics are very. They can work, but they're also very risky. Like if you remember, there was a game. I don't think I actually played this one on stream, or I may have done it. That the game literally takes place over 680 hours or some like long number, and it's real time. Very interesting game, but just completely not part of my kind of play.
Yeah, that sounds like, you get 680-hour playthrough. Sounds pretty crazy.
So
what happens if they pick up the game and then they pick it up, they play like once to make sure that they don't want to get rid of it, kind of thing, and then like
the story just
several weeks go by, and then they pick it up again, and they're right at the end, and it's like too late to do anything, and they're screwed.
Yeah. Alright, so this next one I chose because it sounds like another shark pun here. This is
God.
Rough Night at the Gallery. It's a short-form horror game that all the paintings are of dogs. And I think the dogs come to life to try and lick you, which I'm pretty sure that's a D-mod if we say that out of context.
Yeah. Like, how is this a shark pun?
Rough Night.
But that's not really that's not much of a pun. That's not a good pun. I do good puns. I don't do bad puns.
I'll let the audience judge that one.
Everybody lolls at it. Basically, all of them. There's a couple that doesn't, but like, I'm always experimenting.
I did talk about open world design in my third book that I wrote on roguelikes. It's very hard to do that right. Because if you make the world too big, it just feels like you're wasting time moving around. And keep the enemy streaming into the player, or I think it depends on how much action you want the game to be. Some games will have like spawns like every like in-game day they'll respawn the enemies. If your game's gonna be like super actiony, you could get away with that. But there's also the idea of you're just going to overwhelm the player. That may just be too much. There's no break in the excitement.
Yeah. Honest Rogue, I think you misspelled rough there.
I mean, you want to look at paintings like American Dogthic? Picasso, Pulp Before Mirror. The gallery has something for everyone except cats. So if you're a cat lover, this is not the game for you.
The doggo Lisa?
Now here's my one little bit of a problem here. There's no screenshots of what these ghost dogs look like. Are they going to be very cute, or are they going to be nightmare-inducing, or both?
Or are they even going to show up?
Yeah.
Is it just going to be one of those things where you hear the noise and whatnot, you're running and everything, and next thing you know, you just see blackness come in front of your eyes, and then you're dead. Because this does seem very cheap and asset-y.
Yeah.
With no effort kind of thing.
So this next game is one that both Shark and I chose. And that is Because It's Hot, Why Pizza?
And this is exactly the reason why we chose it, because it's hot. And why pizza?
And these screenshots are something. That cat with the stretched out neck is gonna haunt my dreams, I think, tonight. That is just haunting in so many ways. Oh, and there's a duck with the same neck. Looks like he has no eyeballs there. He has no irises in his eyes.
Where's that at?
The fourth to last screenshot. And this banana in the third to last screenshot is just staring into my soul right now.
The banana?
Marginal Act. Why does this developer sound familiar? Did they do any? Oh, they did Bloody Trains, of course. The other haunting game.
The Bloody Train, a bloody mess?
Oh my goodness.
So we have another bloody mess here then.
About this game.
You want to request a key to see this bloody mess?
All shops are dead. All stuff delivers through delivery service. You are one of delivery guys working at pizzeria and you need to hurry cause pizza can get cold. Because It's Hot. Wait. Because It's Hot is the name of the game. And then why wait. Now I'm confused. Because up here it says Wishlist Why Pizza, but down here it says Because It's Hot is the name.
Maybe it's just two names. Not simply extreme, but extremely extreme.
You have to deliver pizza, get your payment, survive this day. If you have not enough money, you'll lose your house, food, and life. So be careful and work hard. Go through puzzle and platformer mechanics.
You know what I feel like? Like one, like is a team of two developers kind of thing. And like one person's like, I think the name of our game should be Why Pizza. And the other one's like, no, I think the name should be Why Is It Hot? Because it's hot kind of thing. And then they're sitting there arguing about it. And then one of their friends comes in just to shut them up. Why don't you just take both names and run them at the same time and just end it? Shut up. I'm tired of hearing you. Just do it and shut up. And then okay, we'll do that. And they named it that. And then there was an argument about which one's first. And then that same third person comes in and he's like, would you shut up already? We'll roll a dice, flip a coin, and whoever gets it, we'll let them be their name first. That's what it is. That's the kind of scenario I see coming behind this.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it looks very clean, like the forum's comment about the art is not bad, but it's just assaulting your eyes with way too much stuff. Like, if you look at the fourth to last, we have creepy duck, we have clouds, we have a moon, we have an eyeball for some reason. Everything needs to have a face on it looks like, or almost.
And there's so much saturation in here, and it's all different colors of saturation. Like there's not like this cohesive theme, like because like if you look at the background, I mean the background's fairly cohesive. You have the blue cloud, you have the red, you have the purple. It's all this purplish color. Blue and red make purple kind of thing, and then you got the purple in the middle kind of thing, and then out front you have blue and yellowish orange kind of thing, and those are what is it, split complementary, I think is what that's called. which would be good, but you're running. I think it's called triadic or something with the blue, red, and purple kind of thing, and you're running them on top of each other, and they're clashing against each other at the same time. The background is very high saturation. The front is almost desaturated kind of thing, and like it feels like two completely different games. I mean, did one of those two people arguing did the background and the other one did the foreground?
There you go. That's how you should design your game. Like, each person does a different part of the art, and they never talk to each other at all.
Except for when they argue about what they name the game should be.
They meet once a month to argue about it, and then they go back and they never see each other for the next month.
Yeah. And then somebody always has to come in and break them up every time they're arguing.
Alright. With that, let's move to a game that I think has some decent art to it, and that is Tinkertown. I think we may have looked at this game before because it sounds very familiar.
Yeah, I think, didn't you play this during the one of the demos things?
I don't think I did.
I could have swore you did.
Tinkertown. Is there a demo? No, there's not one on the store page. Because it sounds very familiar here.
Yeah, but I know there's something on, I know you've touched on it at some point. And probably on the channel someplace.
Yeah. I like the art of this one. I think it looks...
in Discord or something.
I think this one looks good. It reminds me a little bit of that Octopath Traveler, just in terms of like how everything's kind of like, like propping up almost.
Yeah, that's because I believe this is 2.5D.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's actual 3D. Everything is actually 3D kind of thing, like the ground and everything, but it's covered in 2D. Well, I mean that's generally what 3D is, but covered in a 2D texture kind of thing, and like all the assets I think are like everything that like is popping up kind of thing is like billboarded up kind of thing in 3D.
Yeah, I think that you may be right about that, and about if your game has fishing, you'll get instant sales. I wonder how that intergalactic fishing game ended up doing, because I really like that one. So this one definitely has potential to it. It looks like they're going for single player or multiplayer. Epic loot, build your own habitat. So there's definitely some potential here. I'm hoping we get a key for it because this could be a fun multiplayer game to try out.
Yeah, it could be interesting. It looks sort of like, I mean, the feel I'm getting is like Legend of Zelda meets like survival crafting kind of thing.
It kind of reminds you a little bit of Forager. Like if you look at kind of the assets for like the mining ore and the bushes, has that same kind of like circular, everything looks circular kind of look to it.
I don't know. I can't really see that.
All right. Let's move on to Silmar's Dice Kingdom. And I chose this game because I don't know what is happening in this game. Apparently everything's about dice rules.
Yeah, like I mean, this is a case of like this is one of those UI the game kind of thing. Of course, I'm not one to speak because I mean that doesn't mean that it's bad kind of thing. I'm just saying because like my current game is basically UI the game because that's kind of how card games work in general. But like it is very, very UI focused. So UI is very, very important to absolutely nail right. And I don't think they did a bad job with the UI. Except for in that first screenshot, I don't like that top area underneath the both top areas actually, that brown right there. It doesn't match the brown in the other areas, and I think that really kind of clashes there on that first screenshot. But like besides that, like, I'm not specifically seeing any specific UI issues.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's looking pretty solid, I think, UI wise.
Yeah. And I
But it is
think,
a lot of UI, and they do have it quite scattered. And I don't know if there's a better way they could do that, but
yeah, and that's the problem when you talk about any kind of strategy, turn-based, grand forex, however you want to say it. It's very hard to make screenshots look good, or more specifically, the screenshots convey what's going on.
yeah, that turn-based games in general are just really hard to make trailers for, screenshots for, and all kinds of other things.
Yeah.
Anything turn-based, anything strategy-focused kind of thing, anything along that lines, it's so hard to get, that, because like the gameplay of these games is you thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't, take an image of somebody's brain.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, unless it's like that meme, you put up that meme as part of your marketing.
Yeah. I'm gonna put in for a key for it. You never know. This could be something worth checking out. Alright, and I have a few more, and then we'll go to Shark's Fin. There are a lot of interesting games this week.
Mm-hmm.
And this next one is Shadow Empire. And I chose this one due to the pedigree of the publisher. That's Slytherin. And they are very well known in the war game kind of like Forex market. And this sounds like...
They're pretty well known in Harry Potter, too.
Eh. It sounds like this could be an amazing game, but in the same vein, it sounds like one of those games that most people will never figure out how to play this game. Like, it seems like it's going to be very complicated.
This art looks really, really horrible. This art feels like a first-time developer kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
like an asset flip kind of thing. Like, it does not look good, and because of that, it's not going to sell well.
Mm-hmm.
But if it hits everything in its target audience kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
it'll potentially do really well in that specific niche. But only if they hit it really, really well.
Yep. And that's kind of been one of the struggles of the whole Forex and grand strategy war game kind of market. That they are incredibly deep games that are aimed at like one of the most nichiest of niche bases.
Yeah, and the fact is they put the sub very crappy art in here. Definitely turns off anybody from getting into the genre that wasn't already in the genre.
Mm-hmm.
Among the onboarding and tons of other issues, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Because most of these games have onboarding issues.
Yeah, like if you look at the 7th screenshot where it shows cabinet overview, like the models for those characters look very low quality.
Oh yeah, that looks cheap 3D assets character maker thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just we took a screenshot of this cheap 3D character creator thing.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, again, it looks like it's going to be an incredibly deep game that most people watching this will probably never figure. I know I would never figure out how to play this game.
You gotta like how the first image on their screen on their store page looks absolutely nothing like anything in the game.
Yeah. Or the third one as well.
Well, none of those do.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go down quite far to see something that looks like it actually came from the game.
Yeah.
It's like it's like some of those mobile games advertising themselves as these next gen graphics and everything, and they're like they look really, really amazing, and then you get in the game and it's like
Mm-hmm.
look super crap. It's like you look at
Like what
at
Jack
it,
was talking
you're
about.
expecting like a AAA kind of experience. You get into it, and you're like, "This looks like an asset flip kind of thing."
Hmm. To Nikita's question, I think it really depends on what kind of pacing you are aiming at. Because some Metroidvanias take a very long time to kind of deliver their items, while some will kind of give you your bread and butter stuff very quickly, increase jump, increase run, and attack, and then space out everything else.
Well, I think the absolute key is design all those powers before you design the levels. Design all the
Yeah.
powers,
Know
get
what you
them
want the game.
playable and play them and just play around in a blank space. Add in a few obstacles here and there, maybe, just to get a feel for everything and make sure everything is really solid and it feels really fun
Mm-hmm.
without even having any kind of real level design. And
Like,
then go into level design, and then through that you'll probably that'll probably
mm-hmm.
lead you to where you need to place these powers,
Yeah, like,
especially if you have a story in there. If you have any kind
mm-hmm.
of story in there, you're going to be like, well, they need to run over here, get this story bit and everything, and then I want them to go over here, and that'll like if you have story, that'll further get you into the pacing kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then of course test, as soon as you got the basically blank room with maybe a couple obstacles where you can test different skills out, like wall jump and stuff like that. Like, once you have that, just get it in testers' hands and test.
Yeah, like when we spoke with not Mark, the guy who did Vision Soft Reset.
Mm-hmm.
Like he got those mechanics. He also dealt with like time manipulation as well. But he got all his movement tech and all those options done first, and then built the game around them. And that's what you really want to do, especially in a mechanic focused design like Metroidvania.
Mm-hmm.
And before we move on to the next game, I just want to say, like, I think they know, like, Slytherin knows their market. Because if you look at this screenshot, the one that's just literally a tech tree that shows all the possible variants of an infantry, like, to the outsider, I'm sure this just looks like gobbledygook. Like, it makes no damn sense. But to, like, a war game or grand strategy fan, I'm sure this got some very excited about this kind of game.
If you look at the other one with the line graphs and everything, that
Mm-hmm.
probably gets them even more excited.
Oh, yes. All
Of
right.
course, they did add stuff like this into they're working on adding that into the new DLC for Oxygen Not Included.
Oh, nice.
Give you more details, and they're I think Oxygen Not Included will be the first game I legitimately buy DLC for.
Oh. All right. So this next one I chose was. It looks like there could be potential here, but I do see a few warning flags. So this is Abyss: The Forgotten Past, the Prologue Edition. The pixel art, it looks decent to me. What do you think?
Like the I think the house is too small and generic looking style wise,
Mm-hmm.
but the art is good. Like the design of the house isn't good, but the art for the house is good.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing goes with those two buildings that are side by side of it that
Yeah.
look like the exact same building, and that's way too much using that asset. And the same exact trees that are
Mm-hmm.
perfectly filling that gap. There's not like any like holes kind of thing in between. Like one is like mostly
Mm-hmm.
behind the church like building, and the other is
Mm-hmm.
partly behind the house or just wide open. But they're like just perfectly filling that gap, and it gives this very cheap feel to it. Like there, like I only made two different trees for my last game, and for the most part that worked, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I did not place them like this.
Yeah. If you
Placing your trees is very, very key to actually having the longevity of it.
if you look at the fourth screenshot where it looks like you're in like a church or something, that back window is really bothering me. Like it looks like the perspective is very off on where that window should be.
I don't know. I don't think there's a perspective issue, but they do have that. I think what if I had to guess, I'm guessing they have parallax going here, and it's just the way they took the screenshot kind of thing. Because I'm assuming that as you move, I'm assuming that forward place in the background, you see that forward wall kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that as you move forward, it's going to expose more of that window kind of thing and go across kind of thing. And I think that's just a screenshot thing, but I do think that they should have done more than just a white. Like maybe put a little bit of stained glass like down at the bottom area kind of thing. But like everything here, I think is solid. Just I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more color in that stained glass. Also, the fact that stained glass is really, really bright and everything, but the lighting on the inside is not coming in from there. Is very dim, which again goes back to that. They should probably put some stained glass or something in there, to make it, that lighting look more real kind of thing, or redo the lighting kind of thing.
Yeah. And the other, what has me concerned is that if you look at the descriptions of the game, or the description, it looks like the game's trying to cash a check or the marketing's trying to cash a check that the gameplay won't be able to cover. There's puzzles and challenges, there's RPG systems, there's crafting and weapon foraging, and multiple types of weapons. It all sounds really great, but what sounds like and what it is in practice are often two different things.
Yeah, I want to say that I think this one can pull it off, but it's questionable. I know CDOC has been, CDOC LLC has been publishing a lot of games recently. That's the publisher of this game.
Yeah.
And I think One Way Games is another one that's made a lot of games and published through CDOC. And they've published a lot of games, and that's I don't think they put a lot of time into it.
Yeah.
And if you look at the world map looking one, it looks like a different game. Yep. It looks like an asset pack. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I've seen those houses as an asset pack. Yep. And that light poster, whatever that is, definitely stands way out.
Yeah.
And, so does the UI numbers with the 4 or 5. Oh, that looks absolutely horrid. All the saturation there, but yet it's still blending into the grass with the 4 kind of thing. And there's definitely some red flags here. The fact that I don't know the developer, but the fact that I know that developer has, released, I think 4 or 5 games this year, I think we've looked at from them.
Yeah.
Just sits there and tells me that they did not spend but maybe a few months working on this game, 2-3 months kind of thing. Which says that while parts of it does have pretty good art and parts of it don't, the fact that they have all these systems in here, it just really screams that those systems are going to be pretty hollow, kind of thing.
All right.
I mean, this has potential to be a really great game, but I don't think they put in the time and whatnot. And the fact that it's prologue, that's just another red flag.
All right, let's get through these remaining games a little bit quicker because I know we still have our main topic to get to. So the next one is there's another Drawn to Life game, which I find very interesting because I haven't heard too much from that series in a while. But what has me very concerned, if we scroll down here, it says it's been brought out by many of the original developers. So it doesn't seem like it's made by the same company.
Yeah, which probably an issue with I don't know, publishing and whatnot.
The
or
series
maybe
is.
something happened with the original studio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the series has always been interesting, but I just never really got, no pun intended, drawn to it.
You know you intended that pun. No, don't deny it.
All right.
Pun denier.
All right, so let's get to Shark's picks. So you chose the DLC. Well, the full game is Mrs. Santa's Gift Hunt. And I'm afraid to click on this.
But you gotta love that you get a second hairstyle. You can do long or classic short.
Yeah.
That's a really good DLC right there, right?
Sure, that's worth $30.
At least $30.
Let's see. So Mrs.
Like I looked at this original. I was like, wait a minute. So they're giving you a Santa DLC, and it's like, wait a minute. No, it is a Santa game to begin with. They're just giving you a hairstyle variant. It's like, wait a minute. That's even worse than a Santa variant.
If you go to the main game, it says this game was originally made in 1 month for a contest and won the shared first place in the contest due to the aesthetics and the overall feel of Christmas. This is the vastly improved version. It's a collectathon. Oh my.
No red flags are there.
And this looks very much like an RPG Maker game. Okay then. Alright. The next game, Fist of Fluffs.
Yeah, this one, we already had a game for dog people. Now we got a game for cat people here. And you got the raccoon in that second shot. And is this like an RPG mechanic thing? Like you're looking at the third one. Like you pick a sausage or no hat. No. This is customization here, isn't it?
This is more personalization.
Yeah. Personalization.
I like the one that says like time remaining, and like I cannot tell what like is going with all that text on the screen. Apparently, one of the cat's name is Garfy.
And apparently he's got nearly $200. Man, that cat is rich.
He's a fat cat.
Do you know how much catnip you can buy for nearly $200? Also, what are they getting money for? Destroying shit? What is this what was it? I Am Toast, where you went around and destroyed things?
You're trying to
Toast multiplayer with cats? I am cat. I am cat.
There you go. I like that, like the gif of the cat just like swatting everything.
Look at the last screenshot where the cat is wearing the I forget the name of that hat, the French one.
Beret. Yeah.
And the other one's wearing a monocle.
Yeah.
The other one's wearing a bucket.
And it's a sports game. Alright. So the next one, Day of Vaccination. I saw this one while I was looking at it, and oh my goodness. You love these screenshots.
Yeah, I really do.
Oh, and the story. Oh, it's a roguelite.
What is a rogue?
I like the features. Dynamic camera. Advanced fart physics. Just one physics, not you have to pay for the rest.
Yeah. Dynamic sound.
Random item spawn. Random enemy spawn.
Because random makes things better, right?
100%
100% of the time.
All right.
Steam achievements.
There you go.
Feature.
This doesn't look asset flippy, does it?
I mean, like honestly, it's when you read the features, it sounds more asset-y flippery than the screenshots too.
All All right, and then our last game, Prehistoric Hunt. And why did you choose this one besides, I guess, dino hunting?
Well, I mean, last night was the first time I played Ark. First time I played it since like 2015 or so when I originally bought it and returned it because I bounced off of that game and given it a second chance. And this looks very much like Ark, but worse.
That's always a good marketing point right there.
Yeah, this was like the asset flip version of Ark. That's what it looks like.
There's a dinosaur.
It's like, hey, this is exactly Ark, but worse. With worse art and all asset flippy.
Mm-hmm.
And it very much feels like a developer's first game or just a regular asset flipper doing their asset flipping kind of thing. So it feels more like a first-time developer than anything, though.
Mm-hmm. I never played Ark. I don't think I even own that one.
I'm liking it so far, but I definitely, so far, anyway, I don't have a lot of game time in it. It is inferior to 7 days. Like, I can play 7 days infinitely. I don't know if I could put that many hours into Ark kind of thing. There's a good bit of jank to it, especially in the UX design, UX UI. Well, more UX, not UI. UX issues. There's a bit of jank in there. There's definitely some jank in the RNG kind of systems with spawning, crazy monsters where there shouldn't be crazy monsters, kind of thing. It's like like the first part of the Jurassic Park movie, everything's peaceful and everything, and then you get to the because this is the peaceful monster, the peaceful dinosaur section, and then you go to the T-Rex and Raptor zone, and everything goes to hell at that point. It's like you're in the peaceful area, and then all of a sudden, right at the beginning of the movie, and all of a sudden a T-Rex comes in and starts chomping down all the peaceful dinosaurs and the movie's over before it even starts. It just ends right there at the first 10 minutes of the movie, and then it ends. That's the RNG I got, basically.
Dino RNG.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't follow too much about the DLC of ARP, but I know a lot of people were pissed off about it.
Yeah, I don't have the DLC. I just bought the base game when it was ridiculously. Actually, I think I might have got the DLC for free in it or something. I don't know, but I paid like $10 for the whatever I got.
All right.
So
with that, let's get to our main topic, because I think we ran very long in terms of these weird games. There are a lot of them this week. We may have to just go for a strict, maybe 5-game limit. I think for both of us going forward. Just to keep this before it gets too crazy in terms of all these games.
Yeah, we definitely got to limit how many.
But we can limit the number of games being released, right?
Yeah.
But let's get to our main topic. Like we've said, we are in the middle of course, of a major sales season, and
there ain't no sales. What are you talking about?
But one of the toughest points from a development standpoint is knowing what sales mean to you and when to use them for your game and how much. And when we talk about kind of sales seasons like this, I think there's two very broad categories. We have sales that are tied to, major events, the autumn sale, Halloween, New Year's, etc. And then there's the individual sales. Like, when do you put your game on sale? And
this is going to be filled with lots of subjective stuff.
Oh yes,
subjective information. So don't take we're going to be speaking a lot in general. So don't take anything 100% for a law. But we're talking about general best practices and stuff like that.
Yeah, because for every example that we talk about, there will usually be an exception to that rule, and. Not only that, but sales also matter for the actual pool of your own game. Like if you're a major game company, like if you're Activision, 2K, Blizzard, whatever, sales work differently for you than if you were a smaller developer who, just put out their first game, or your game is already $10 or things like that.
which is going to be more where our focus is. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily on first game people, but we'll definitely include them in there. But like first, second, third, basically our focus will be, basically probably all the way up to about the point of clay. Like we probably won't go above kind of clay level with our thoughts kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to a Rat's Tail's point about Candy Raid, that again, there's a lot that you have to think about when it comes to sales. First, you have to think about what is the base price of your game to begin with. Because like we've said, you can lower your game, you can have a sale as much as you want, but when you put your game on sale, you are setting a precedent for what people are going to expect your game to be going forward. If your game is on sale for $8, people are going to assume, or people will wait for that $8 sale again. So if you try to go on sale, let's say in 6 months from now, you can't go with a weaker sale. Because then people will think that you're trying to jip out new consumers.
Well, you could, but like there's many different tactics. There's I mean, we have the tactics from like Factorio where they literally never go on sale. They never go on sale.
Yeah.
And it has worked out quite well for them. But that being said, they are very much a exception to the rule kind of thing. And that's what we have to keep in mind, because like, at the time when they released, there was no games like Factorio. And there's still not very many games like Factorio. There's Satisfactory and there's Mindustry and there's a Shapes.io thing.
But
and
like,
that's pretty much all I can think of
Factorio.
off the top of my head.
Yeah.
There's not very many even like people tackling that genre kind of thing. Because number one, Factorio did it, as far as I know, first. I mean, there could have been technically somebody before them that we're not aware of. But they did it so right and so good and so in depth, and they've been around forever.
Yeah.
They were around before Steam even existed, kind of thing.
And again, that's another part about this is the name and the clout of the company itself. Because some companies, they can put their game on for like 15% off or 10% off, and that may be enough to get a lot of people interested in that game because of the pedigree of that developer. Other cases, you could have somebody put your game on like 70% off, and people will still go, nah, I don't really want to play this game.
Yeah. And, I mean, pedigree is definitely part of it. Having a reputation is also another one. Like, which you really can't do until you do your second game.
Yep.
Because, like, what you do in your first game, sales-wise, definitely will impact what people think about you in your second and your third and whatnot. And those two will impact your third. Like when I did, when I was selling Chromasia and everything, the word of the day, what happened is I did, a few, like I started off with like a 15% sale on day one. And then I think it was a 15% sale on the next holiday. And I think I did I think it was 25% off because I was super desperate for the Halloween sale. And I think only one person bought it during the Halloween sale. And at that point, we had sold like 27 copies. And then that was the last planned sale. And, that was the end kind of thing. And there was no more sales before we had to basically remove it from Steam. So, I was like, okay, we're removing from Steam. And then everybody came out of the woodwork begging for like a 90% off discount and whatnot. I was like, no, I mean, this is it. If you want it, get it. If you don't want it, don't get it.
Yep.
And we sold instantly overnight 100 copies at full price.
Yeah. And like we said, like at the start here, a lot of what we're talking about in this section, or for our topic today, is going to be very anecdotal and very hypothetical, because there is no one shot or one magic guide to this kind of stuff. That's pretty much our tagline for every one of our discussions that we have. Just as one game could do horribly with a 70% off sale, another game could do amazingly well with a 5% or 10% off. And as a developer, it's very hard to know how far you want to go. And like as a point here, I've been looking at the autumn sale, seeing where some of like the major discounts and such. And what we usually see, like here's a very interesting point. If you look at Doom Eternal, that has a 67% off, while something like Auction Not Included is only on sale for 50% off. And I guess my question for you, Shark, is do you think the percentage off matters more, or what the actual end price is for the consumer?
That's a good question. And I don't know if I'm one to speak on it because, like, I'm not your average consumer.
And neither am I.
For me, though, it's the final price.
Yeah.
I think for the average consumer, though, it's probably percentage.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know I was introduced to this website to me the other day, and it was a website that basically notified you. You could basically set, I want this game, and notify me whenever it's this percentage off or lower, kind of thing. And it was percentage based and not the final price. And, that is very much going towards consumers being more percentage based kind of thing. But to me, it is 100% the final price.
Yeah, and that's the same thing for me. Like, and I've said this, that if I'm going to buy a game these days, it either has to be something I am very, very interested in, or it's got to be, I would say, no more than $10. And even that is kind of pushing it for me these days. Like, I will buy like 20, 30 different games at like $2, $3 a pop. But to spend like $20, $30, $40 on a single game kind of stops me in my tracks these days.
Didn't you pay $40 for Disco Elysium?
No, I paid $20 because I had the coupon code from Epic. And yeah, like we said, that the final price is often a big point, and I think Rats brings up a very good question. What's a good game sales when the game is already $5? And this kind of leads.
There's not.
What was that?
There's not, because like it's rough when you start off at $5. Like you're when you start off at basically anything sub 15, you're already starting with one or more feet into the grave, and that's bad kind of thing. Like I understand Rats tells situation with having a really short game kind of thing, but that is what happens when you get a really short game. Is you start off with a few feet into the grave because you have to sell more copies to break even, and like it's almost in a lot of ways it's easier to sell 10 copies at $15 and make $150 than it is to sell 11 copies at $5 and make $55. It's almost harder to get that sell than it is to get the dollar amount.
Yeah, and part of that issue again goes back to what people see as the quality of your game, and like to Foreign's point, there are a lot of people who won't buy a game the base price is under 10. And like I said, this is a huge difference from 4 years ago when they wouldn't buy a game if the base price was over $10.
Mm-hmm.
And this, like, for those of you watching this record right now, we are doing this basically at the end of November of 2020. What we talk about may not be relevant in 6 months or even 3 months from now. And that is the nightmare when it comes to the video game market.
Yeah, you have to be up and aware on all of these things. And if you see a trend, by the time you see it, it's probably too late to act on it.
Yeah.
Like everybody's seeing Cyberpunk here, there, everywhere. It was too late to work on a Cyberpunk game like a year or two ago. Now, if you were already working on a game, 2.5, 3 years ago kind of thing, then you may be good. You may not be good. It really depends on your game specifically and when you can actually release kind of thing. It's very, very hard. And it's a very hard market to get into. You have to really be in the know if you want to succeed. And being in the know does not mean jumping on a trend the second it comes out. Being in the know is once you see a trend, you avoid it like a plague, because you know that unless you're already making a game in that thing, unless you're already in the progress, you need to avoid it like a plague, because you know that you're likely going to fail if you try to follow that trend.
Yeah, and unless you have Fortnite money, then you can use that to help you here.
Yeah, we're not focusing on Fortnite money, people.
And to Mr. Game in Chat's comment about sales and free-to-play games, Nikita and Foreign kind of, I think, answer what I was going to say, that there's a difference between selling content in a free-to-play game versus selling a new game or selling a game to a new consumer.
Oh, yeah, that's totally different. Perfect.
Yeah. And what we're focused on for today is more on the game sales. Getting your game, like, in the door for people to buy it. But, free-to-play content, that could be its own topic for a future talk.
Yeah. Although if we have enough time today, which I doubt we will, we might hit on that.
Yeah, we'll see. But I have about maybe another 30, 40 minutes, so we'll see how things go.
Probably means most likely absolutely not.
Yeah. But to bring this back, when we talk about trying to get people into Rat's comment about, lower price games, that it's very hard, I think, to make that sale alluring, because that's ultimately the part about this. It is a marketing tactic. You see a $60 game, and all of a sudden you see, 80% off or 50% off, and now it's $30 or $15. That gets people very excited. And part of what makes this so difficult is that it basically throws the whole, price to quality equation completely out the window. Like, case in point, Auction Not Included is $12. Doom Eternal, a AAA game, is $16 right now. So, who has more quality to it?
My vote will go to Oxygen Not Included, but
yeah. Yeah.
But like the Doom Eternal one looks more attractive because it's a higher percentage per consumer kind of thing, and
But technically, Auction Not Included is a greater final price or a lower final price.
Yeah, and the thing is like, I mean, you see the examples of this in real world, and you see some examples on Steam and such of this kind of thing, to where developers will raise the price, or Best Buy or whoever will raise the price to put a bigger discount. Like this camera sells for $150 normally. Let's mark it all the way up to $250, and then we'll put a 50% discount on it, and it looks really fucking good, because it's like, wow, that is I'm only paying $125 for this $250 camera, when in reality it's only $150 counter. Or even worse, when they when they raise it up to 250, and then or let's just say 300 because that's the easier number to deal with, and then they put like a 40% sell on it, and it's like that's more expensive than their original.
Yeah,
you could just get it not on sale at the regular price, and it'll be about $30 cheaper. But it looks attractive because it's 50% off, and it's marketing selling tactics that are really abusive in the market, kind of thing. And you do see some of that in the games industry, and it's not a good thing. It's definitely not a good thing, and very anti-consumer. But like, like I'm sure places like Walmart are pretty guilty at doing stuff like that. Like I haven't, I don't look for that kind of thing. I know it happens. I'm assuming it happens at Walmart. I know for a fact that it happens at most big businesses. So like, there's a smoking gun everywhere throughout the industry, kind of thing. So I don't need 100% proof. I just know it's out there, kind of thing. Been proven many, many times.
And to Foreign's point, that again, the whole time value, that's another topic right there. There's way too much to get into for that. And
well, we kind of already did get into that in the past video.
Yeah.
Time versus price.
And like we've said, a lot of this is about psychology of what that sale means. And it's very easy to manipulate somebody into spending, like for instance, I'm looking at Finacle right now, and they're selling some kind of racing game at 90% off. So it goes from $50 to $4.99. And there are probably a lot of people who will buy that game sight unseen just on that price tag alone. Because you're priced... What was that?
Was that another Marvel Avengers? Was that the Marvel Avengers of racing games?
Yeah.
Don't know. We're going to see Marvel Avengers on sale for $4.99.
Oh yes.
I wouldn't pay $4.99 for that game. I wouldn't pay 99 cents for that game. I wouldn't even pay like 100% off. Like they would have to pay me to play that game. That so bad. Like why would I pay anything for it? But people will see those sales. They will absolutely buy it, saying, "Oh, this is a good deal." Because I meant, like, if their price was a decent price to begin with, yeah, that was a good deal. But the fact is, the quality of the game is very, very low in a lot of ways, and it's not worth anything basically. But it's that perceived value that consumers get from that, and more savvy customers are or consumers, or whatever you want to call them, are more resistant to that kind of thing. But like, it's a gray scale of how you go up, and how much of how much is enough to push over for that one consumer to buy into it, kind of thing.
Yeah, and like we said, like there are people who will just buy these games on sale. Like they don't really care about playing the game. Like I know you talked about this before, Shark, with people who will just buy games to collect them. They will probably never touch the game. They may just touch it to get the opening achievement, and that's it.
Yeah, with my earlier example, but with the word of the day, with the 100 copies selling at the at the drop of a hat that one day, kind of thing, after only selling like 27 copies before that. Well, the thing is we actually had a way to monitor that in Steam, and in Steam, out of those 100 people that bought the game, only one person out of the 100 even booted the game. And that one person, I know exactly who they are because they left a review on the Steam page like a day or so after that.
Yep. And again, like on one hand, some people think that's really great. You got 99 sales of people who didn't even touch your game. But the problem, though, as we've said, is that if you're trying to build yourself as a studio, you need people to play your game.
Yeah, like I mean, I need people to buy the game so I have money to operate. But 100 copies is definitely not enough to even break even with my LLC cost. because that was like $5,000, and like my total sales, after Steam's percentage and everything, before Steam's percentage and everything, it was like $1,400. Afterwards, Steam and base level taxes, it was only $700, and it cost me $5,000 to do my baseline LLC, or not my baseline, but the current full cost of the LLC, which is still going up, mind you. And and it also does not include anything from the actual making of the game or the 2.5 years of work that went into it, kind of thing. So like none of that's even considered. And that 100 copies, is a drop in the bucket, but it was something, because it boosted us from from, I think we were at like $95 or something, and Steam will not give you a red cent until you hit 100.
Oh yes.
All the way up to like in payout, not in gross. So you have to hit like 200-ish in gross.
And
and we that kicked us over that, so we could get the actual $100-ish that we had gotten from people who actually played the game, and we could get we got $700-ish total, which again is a drop in a bucket, but at least it was a drop, which had I not got those sales, it wouldn't have been a drop. But the point is while that helps me keep open and everything when sales are high enough, that I don't want to put out games just to make money. Like that is by far that is a have to thing, not a want. It's like I don't want to breathe oxygen. I have to breathe oxygen in order to live. There's no enjoyment I get out of breathing oxygen, and breathing oxygen is making money off your game, kind of thing. And I'm desperately gasping for air at this moment because I'm not getting enough oxygen. But like what I want, I want that new toy, or new video game or new car or whatever it is. And what I want in development is I want people to play my game. And more importantly, I want them to enjoy it when they're playing. I want them to have a positive experience, a positive and good experience from playing it. And I want them to be attached. I want them to join my community. I want them to join my Discord. Links down in the description. Join it right now.
Yeah, you need, and like we've said, and I'm putting this in my post I'm going to put up this week, that ultimately you need to grow if you want to survive in this industry. And one game, unless of course you sell Minecraft or Fortnite numbers, is not going to do it for you.
Yeah.
And this is part of the issue that we talk about. That, and I think Rats may have said this. Amir said this. That sales has to lead to sales after. Like, you need to grow a fan base. If 500 people buy your game on sale and never touch it, those 500 people aren't coming back for your next game.
Nope.
And I guess here's an interesting point I want to touch on, is the difference between, kind of like the sales strategy when your game is popular. Because what we see are often two different strategies. And when we're talking about popular, we mean, big name games. Stuff like Crusader Kings, Disco Elysium, Sekiro, Doom, what was that?
Oxygen not included.
Yeah.
Factorio.
Games that are incredibly popular to begin with. And what these developers will do is usually one of two strategies. They will go for very minuscule sales, maybe 15%, 20% off, something like that. Just kind of enough to say, hey, this amazing game that won all these awards, you get a little bit off now, so maybe you can check it out. Or they'll go all in. This is when we get like 60, 70, 80% off. And then it's like, oh my god, this amazing game and one game of the year, you can get it for $10 now. Why haven't you picked it up?
Yeah. And there's another aspect to that. Like this is personally the one I like the best. And I don't know if this performs the best, but this is what I like the best. Is like when you go on sale, you don't just keep that price, kind of thing. it's when you set a sell price, it's like this year we're going to be in this range kind of thing. We're going to be from like, I don't know, like 20% off to like 10% off, or maybe even 5% off, and probably not 5 because that's probably pretty far frowned upon. But from like 10 to 20. So like maybe you release and you give everybody like a 15% at release to really kick up that day one sales. But then your next sell is like at 10. And then your next sell is like at maybe 15 or something, and then you go back to 10. And then maybe you have this one that goes down to 20, and then you go back to 10 and then 15, and you're really dancing in that area kind of thing. And then once you get to a certain point kind of thing, then you move that scale down a little bit. Now you're dancing between like, I don't know, like 40 and 20 kind of thing. And then as time goes on, you keep on moving that scale kind of thing until you get kind of to the final scale kind of thing.
Yeah. And again,
you're not really, like mistreating consumers, because they are in, they're just going to be a few cents different. 5%, difference on a $15 game. What is 5% of that? That's what. Let me break out my calculator real quick.
And while Shark's doing that, again, we need to stress one very important point. Whatever is the lowest price or the lowest amount that your game drops to, that is the benchmark that your game will be judged by in the future. And like we said, you have to be very mindful of that. Because if let's say you have an 80% off sale in your game, and it didn't do well, and you want to have another sale, people aren't going to remember that your game was 80% off once. And they will be very pissed if you say, well, now it's only 20% off.
So on a $15 game, it's 75 cents.
Yeah.
So, like you'd be plus minus, 75 cents. So like one sale, you'd be like, I don't know, 75 times 3. Another one, you'd be 75 times 2. Another one, you'd be 75 times 4 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's not really that much of a difference. But like that, I feel like that variance in there, one of Josh's favorite words, makes it where it doesn't feel static. And it's not like, you're going to get less sales at the 10%, but you're still potentially going to get sales there as long as your game's actually selling kind of thing.
Yeah.
And in that you're getting the more price conscientious that is, more price conscious and less, less like focused on gotta play it now kind of thing to jump on, wait till the deeper ones. And you're getting the ones that really want it sooner and just want a discount to buy it sooner at a higher price kind of thing. Yeah. But it's not that much. It's just a few cents here and there. Yeah, but once you put your game like at 50%, like nobody's going to buy your game nobody's going to buy your game at 10% off. Like nobody's going to touch that.
Yeah, basically. Like if
there are so many tools on there on the internet that will tell you absolutely, that this is the lowest price they had,
yes.
And as long as you're in that area kind of bouncing back and forth, people will be like, yeah, the lowest price was 20% off, but that was, like 6 months ago kind of thing. And the lowest price in the last like 3 months has been like 15% off, and it's for 15% off right now. I'm going to go ahead and do it kind of thing.
Yeah. And you have to be, and like to that point, you have to be really careful when you go for very big sales. Like, again, like going from, my game is 20% off, now it's 95% off.
Yeah, once your game goes 95% off, unless you're AAA kind of thing, there's no way to ever get more than maybe 80% off. For your game, your game is now you devalued your game kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were just talking about with Mr. Game in Chat's comment, that you don't want to start off with so high of a sale that nobody will ever touch your game otherwise. And
also keep in mind that there are secondary markets, that will definitely buy your game. Like they'll buy like 200 copies of your game at 99 95% off, and then they will put it up on a secondary market like ones we won't mention here because they're too crap.
Yeah.
And they'll sell your game, and for like I don't know, like 80% off or something, and they'll sell it, and they'll sell all those keys over time, and because they're at 80% off, and you're selling your game, you discount your game again to like 60% off. Why would they buy? Unless they're very wary of that site, why would they buy from you at 50 or 60% off when they can buy it from them right this second for 80% off?
Yeah. And I have two comments I want to touch on. The one that Foreign said about people don't want to spend $5 on your game is because the game doesn't seem worth their time. And again, like, that's what we're saying when it comes to what the content of your game is, and why AAA games tend to do really well with huge discounts. Because, like we've said before, AAA, despite how we make jokes and we talk about it all the time, it has a level of prestige that comes with it. That when you see Nintendo stamp or EA stamp or any major studio's name on a game, that means something to people. So that when they see for instance, like Nintendo can have a 10% off sale and people will lose their minds. Like, it's very rare to see Nintendo do a major deep sale on their games. Like, if you ever see a first party Mario game for like $20, that's huge.
Yeah, really the only time you see that kind of discount is like when you go to Walmart and they're just like the game is pretty dang old and they just have like tons and tons of copies that they need to get rid of, but it's only at that one location, not like at every location.
Oh yeah, I had to do that to find a copy of not Skyward Sword. Oh no, the Wind Waker that was for the Wii that I had to find for like $20. And it was at like one Kmart in a specific part that you had to order it online, even though the old online order doesn't have it, but they have it in store. And I had to get into a huge fight in Kmart to get that game for $20.
And Amir brings up a good point about the perceived value, about raising prices and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, the only way you can actually raise your base price of your game is by being in like early access or something, and you slowly, as you add content, you slowly boost the price. And here's a massive content update, now the game costs $5 more, kind of thing.
And don't forget Shovel Knight, that they're now pricing their game, I think it was like $40 or $50, and calling it the Treasure Trove Edition, and that includes all the DLC that they put together. And like we said at the start, there are going to be exceptions to like everything that we say, and we have seen games that will raise their price up after being released, either A, because it goes from early access to full retail, or that there's enough content that has been added to this game that kind of justify lumping it all together, calling it, the year one edition, the special edition, whatever you want to say it, and charging maybe $10, $15 more, but you get maybe $30 to $40 of DLC for free alongside it.
Yeah. And, the thing is that even if you raise your price, there's very limited stuff you can do with the percentage. You still have to kind of play to the same rules with the percentage, because like you may be now, gone from you may have been selling your game for 80% off all this time at $15, and now you're raised the value up to $20. You pretty much still going to have to sell your game for 80% off. Just 80% of 20 is higher than 80% of 15. That's, again, none of this is a 100% rule, but these are rules in generality kind of thing. And these are, I guess you'd call them guidelines, not, which is pretty much what we do on this channel, because like we're there's always exceptions to everything.
Yeah. What we're trying to break down is essentially ways to mitigate, the risks of any kind of decision that you make. And we're using examples that we've seen to kind of help you weed out, what choice you want to do. And
Exactly.
there's one other point we haven't touched on yet that I think we need to with this discussion. And that is what? Thank you, Rat's Tail. Yeah, we have an anti-Spelunky, anti-Fortnite chat. Well, let's get a Jack in on that one too. But one point that we didn't touch on yet that we need to bring up is what happens when you're the odd man out. And we see this almost every time there's either a major sale or like a special category of sales. The horror sale, the visual novel sale, the ludonarrative sale, however you want to describe it. That there will always be a few games that stick out like a sore thumb because there is no sale to them. And this is something you have to, and this is again part of the importance of reading the market. That if there is a massive sale going on, and all your contemporaries, all your peers are on sale, you have to kind of weigh the benefits and negatives of putting your game on sale, even if you just released it a short time ago.
And that's a tough one. I honestly don't even know what to even recommend for developers on that point because it's a real crapshoot.
Yep.
It is a real crapshoot, and I mean,
it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of position, I think.
Yeah, like if I had just released my game, let me think about this. What would I personally do if I had just released my game and we're talking about a month later?
Yep.
A month later, 30 days later, comes a Steam sale or whatever, and on my specific genre or something like that. We're not just talking about general Steam sales. We're talking about like I made a tactical RPG and this is a sale on all tactical RPGs,
or a strategy game or anything like that.
Yeah. So what I would do is, let's say I launched, and when I launched with a 15% discount to really encourage people, early buyers to get in there for the cheaper price kind of thing. That was my strategy. Well, when we go to the sale, I would definitely not want to look like the odd man out because that would look pretty bad on me. And people would be like, why in the hell is this game not for sale in the sales category?
Exactly.
The one that the nail that stands out gets hammered kind of thing. So I would probably go. I would also not want to undervalue the deal that the first people got. When they got their deal for 15% off kind of thing right at the beginning.
Piss them off.
At the same time, I would also not want to go with 5% because that makes me look extremely cheap and bad.
Yeah.
So I would go somewhere around 10%. I would, if there was some kind of number or pun or something that was like 11% or 12% or something, go with that. But like say your game is called, I don't know, 12 Ways to Die on Christmas Day. The 12 days to die on Christmas or something like that. Then I would probably go to like 12% off. But like if there was no like pun or something creative that you could do that really would make you stand out in that way, I would go 10% off. And leave it at that. It's worse than the the reward that you gave for people to come and buy it on week one, and it's better, and you're not the odd nail that stands out, and you don't look cheap from the 5%. And really, that is a really like heavy analysis on that one particular game. And your game, every game is very, very different, so you have to evaluate every one of them as a case by case basis. And there is no like general expression that can be told, oh, just go with this percentage kind of thing. Like there is nothing. There's no like, your game is this age, go at this percentage. Your game has been on this many sales, you can go at this percentage. It is, you have to evaluate all these factors and evaluate based off of that. And even when you do these evaluations, like I knew that based off the evaluation that I did not want to go, below 15, below, I didn't want to go single digits because, it seemed cheap unless there was a specific pun that you could go off of, kind of thing.
Yeah, and again, that's part of the psychology that goes on with these sales.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can have like free trials, prologues, demos. I think that's obviously another market, another topic to discuss.
Yeah, that is another topic, but that would definitely tie into this.
Yeah.
Well, technically, like every topic ties into it because, like, when we're talking about game development, it's not the like this thing is on its own, this thing's on its own. It's kind of like the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but it's the 7 degrees of game development. From any topic, you can get to any other topic in game development.
That could be another video series for us. There we go. I think you just came with a new video series, Shark.
The 7 degrees of game development?
Yeah. And another point about this, and this is something that when I speak to a lot of publishers and kind of developers who are, fairly established in their careers, you have to understand the major sales seasons and release your games accordingly. Because it doesn't matter if you release your game the day before Christmas or the day before the holiday sale. People are going to look, again, like Shark said, they're going to look for the games that stick out and in the wrong way when it comes to these. And you have to be very mindful of game releases. This is why we see a lot of AAA developers, again, they push their biggest games like September, October, because they want those games out there, they want those games being recognized, so that when it comes time for, November, December, end of the year, holiday sale season, that they can put those games on sale because they are fresh in those players' minds.
Yeah. And, again, as an indie kind of thing, you want to avoid releasing when AAA is just going to be everywhere.
Oh, yes.
Which will be Christmas season, from like basically post-August to, basically, like you don't want to release, pretty much don't want to release a game anywhere between any date in September, October, November, December. It's very risky in January, very risky in February. March is really your first real month, but there's risk on every single month. And then, that's just avoiding the AAA. Then you have to contend with indies that you have to go against, kind of thing. Not really go against, but it's not that you're competing with the indies. It's you're competing with customers' time.
Yeah.
Because even if the customer buys your game, kind of thing, there is so many games in my Steam library, and I'm sure Josh's library too, that we bought, and we really wanted to play, that we have not played.
Yeah, I don't have 955 games in my Steam library that I haven't played yet.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we're of course, again, the real exception to the rule, but there are plenty of people out there that have similar issues.
Yeah.
And, there's also some people out there that only have I think according to a survey done recently, the average Steam user only has 7 games. but how many of those average users are people who get Steam, play, to download one free-to-play game, and just play that one free-to-play game and never actually look at anything on Steam. And, I think that kind of consumer really distorts those numbers, kind of thing.
And again, a backlog is a backlog. It doesn't matter if it's 3 games we're talking about, 3,000 games. If people have a fixed amount of time they can spend on games, that's just, life. And I want to build off what Shark said about competing with other indies or competing with other companies. That, like we said, once you become established, you kind of become a marketing force onto yourself. For instance, like with Clay Entertainment, if Clay is releasing a new game, it doesn't matter what genre your game is or who you are, you shouldn't be releasing a game the same day or even the same week as another Clay Entertainment game. And you have to, again, be mindful of this. And we've seen developers who will purposely delay or, fast forward their game's release to avoid another developer. Like, for instance, like right now, everyone is talking about Cyberpunk. And it doesn't matter if you have a Cyberpunk game or not. You shouldn't be releasing your game the same week Cyberpunk comes out.
Probably even you probably don't want to release it within a month of it coming out either.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody in that month after it comes out is going to be playing Cyberpunk 2077. And if they're into that thing anyway. But, a very big asterisk that I need to apply to yours is, it's not that you just need to avoid that week kind of thing of when Clay Entertainment does. You want to avoid that week if you're releasing any game that is remotely even slightly similar to it. But if you're just a completely different game, like a Call of Duty, kind of thing, releasing it the same day as them, no effect on you. None at all. But if you're releasing a game, let's just say that Factorio is coming out. Let's just say that Factorio is coming out on the same day that Oxygen Not Included is coming out. That's a very bad day. That is a very bad day for both of them because, or let's just say that Mindustry, a smaller game, is coming out at the same day that Oxygen Not Included come out. That is a very bad day for Mindustry kind of thing.
Yeah.
But while they're very, very different gameplay loops and everything, they're very, very different games. They're close enough, which is not very close, but they're close enough that there's a significant consumer overlap between the two games. And that's what you need to worry about. Is you're not worried about the technically similar game. You're worried about the consumer overlap because the consumer overlap, they're going to go with the bigger one.
Yep.
Unless they just buy both. But, that's saying that, hey, where you could have got, let's just say that you were projecting 3,000 sales, right? Or in the first week or in the first day or whatever time period we want to go with. And Clay is, projecting, 300,000 and of those 300,000, there's roughly 2,500 of yours kind of thing also in there. So 300, so like those 300,000 are going to buy the Clay game. 500 are going to buy yours. And then those 2,500, a certain percent of them will also buy your game, but you're going to lose out on a lot of those sales. And then those lost out sales, instead of buying it on day one and boosting yourself in the Steam algorithm, because Steam algorithm is very, very important to, you have to do really well on your first week. Really, really well. Right? Yeah. So you're kind of screwed.
Yeah,
but like if you don't, if that's not only going to screw you there, but those consumers are going to be waiting for your game. And at the point when they're waiting now, they're going to be waiting for a sale, which means that, they're going to be waiting for a time when your game is less of a discount than what it was when it released because they had to wait so long. So they have to now get more value out of the wait, so they probably won't touch anything until it gets down to 25% or lower kind of thing. Which means that you just screwed yourself out of 10% of that 2,500-ish people that you got in there. You screwed yourself out because of that release date.
Yeah. And I do have to get going in the next few minutes. So here's my final point for our talk for today. That when it comes to these kinds of game sales or just sales in general, you have to understand that once these games are out there, you have to be very mindful of exactly, I guess, how much value your game retains at full price. When we talk about the game industry 10, 15 years ago, it was considered common knowledge that a game had viability at full price, we could say maybe 45 to 60 days after release. 10 years ago, that was maybe 30 to 45 days. Today, I would assume that's less. And what we've seen is that you have a very, and like Shark said, with the Steam algorithm, you have a very narrow window in terms of getting noticed on Steam just organically. And if you're not careful, you can easily mess up when it comes to getting the notoriety. There's a reason why people tend to jump when there's these major sales or theme sales. There was a recent sale on Steam, I think that was specific about a specific region in England, or what was it? I just saw it on, here it is, the Guildford sale, or all the games made by developers in that area. And this is why we talk about marketing as such an important point. That you have to understand how the market responds to games as well as how it responds to game sales. And if you don't do this, you are kind of killing your game. You're cutting it at the knee, at the ankles, in terms of people knowing about it. And again, I want to stress this point that once your game goes on sale, that will set a permanent precedent going forward. Yeah, thank you, Amir. And this is why when we see companies like Factorio or the Battle Brothers developers who say that they will not put like certain things on sale, you have to stick with that. Once you've kind of, put your stamp down, that's going to be your rule going forward. Because if you renege on that or you go back, you're going to anger a lot of people who trusted you to begin with.
Not only that, not only you will anger a lot of people, but you're going to undermine everything you say after that because you lied.
Mm-hmm. And yeah,
or you reneged, and even a renege is for them is counted as a lie, or at least somebody who is not trustworthy. And I told them that when I did that sale and everything, were after the sale on Halloween, I was like, there won't be any more sales before the game gets removed from market. And they kept on, like, so many people kept on begging for 90% off every day for a while, kind of thing. After that point, and I did not go on sale. Like I had a company reach out to me that at that point was not somebody who was well known because they were just starting out. I forget the name of their. What was that one that did the free coins every day that they stopped? You did the free coins. You had the game of the day kind of thing that would be on sale.
Was that the Gamergate store?
No.
Don't know.
But there was one like that, and they got to be pretty big and everything, and until they stopped doing their free coins every day, log in and check out the game that's on sale for that day, and but they were really big and everything, and when they first started and everything, they contacted me. I was one of the first people they actually contacted, and I didn't even know they existed, kind of thing. It's already marked off screen. I don't know who said this, but about the multiplayer I'm currently working on, that's Neon Continuum.
Yeah,
it's Mr. Game. And Discord, link is down below and whatnot. And hopefully we'll be playing it. Probably not, but hopefully this Saturday. But the fact is I did not go on sale again, despite how many people begged me for it and pleaded with me, and did all these things where they were doing reverse marketing trick on me, to where they were like, you could sell like 3 copies at $15, but if you go on sale for 90% off, you could sell 1,000 copies, and when you do the math of that, that's a lot more money. And I'm sitting here looking at my Steam sales page, and I'm like, we've sold 100 copies right now at this point at full price. It's like I can make a lot more off of 100 copies at full price than I can at 1,000 copies at 15% off. Like, even your best case scenario is like worse than what I currently have that I'm looking at here on my sales page. but which definitely helped me stick to that. But like once you do something, you once you say something, you have to stick to it. I think with very few exceptions. Like when we had delayed the game like 2 times or 3 times, I can't remember, but we had delayed it, and I told him that when I released the next date, that we would not be changing that date. It would not change. It would be solid. We were not going to do a different release date. And then that was the time. That was the time in 2018 when Steam did not tell us developers when the Steam summer sale was going to be. And guess what? It was 4 weeks before the game came out, but it went on for 3 weeks. So it didn't end until 1 week before the release date. And I wanted to delay that game so badly, and I needed to, because that really screwed over all of my sales, especially in the first week, which are the most important sales. And I needed to, I wanted to, and I didn't, because I wanted to stay true to my word with my consumer base. But I technically should have. I should have broken my word at that point, because the fact is that led to 9 sales. And, with like 1,000 something wish list, and only 9 people picked it up. And that really killed it. And, that was basically the death of the game right there. So yes, you should definitely keep your word at almost every point, but there is a very, very few exceptions.
Yeah.
When you should probably do it, but like the question is are you going to be displeasing, you have to evaluate, are you going to be displeasing 9 people by doing this delay, or are you going to be disappointing 9,000 people? Because there's a completely different story there. Like even if your game was going to sell like 300,000 copies versus the other, if the same percentage scale is there, you still have to deal with the core number. Is it 9 or is it 9,000? Like if you multiply both numbers by 1,000, kind of thing, you're going to have to definitely shy away more from the delay on the 9,000, and that's kind of the painful part of it. You're going to have to screw over but that's like I didn't know. I don't have a history of watching for Steam sales and whatnot, and I didn't know. And this is what we are talking about before, about being very eye on the industry and watching everything that happens. Because like even though Steam did not tell me several months in advance that there was going to be a Steam sale, I could have looked at the history and seen that there's a Steam summer sale every summer, and it's usually around probably one of these 2 months kind of thing, and just make sure that I do not make that date anywhere in there kind of thing.
But I do have to get going for tonight. Yeah, and again, there's a lot more we can unpack here, especially talking more about pricing content to people who already bought your game in free to play, DLC, and so on. But yeah, and to Hashcheck and to their comments about, there are people who will only buy your game on sale, or they will only buy stuff on sale. And again, part of the challenge about this is knowing what are the buying habits of the people who are going to play your game. There are some genres, again, like War Game, 4X, Grand Strategy, that they know that they can price their game at $50, $60, and their market's going to buy it. Because these are games that have years of content to them. Likewise, there are games that you really can only price at $5, $10, $15 because the genre just doesn't really get that much value out of it. And understanding that again, is another major topic.
Yeah, you've got to understand your genre, understand your marketplace. And this is why, like I say that, pretty much anybody who is starting out development hasn't, and by starting out development, I don't mean just starting. I mean, you could have been doing it for 20 years.
Oh, bless you.
Excuse me. What I mean is, by starting out, I mean you're not commercially known as a entity. You haven't had one, you haven't had more than one game, commercially succeed. You haven't had, at least one game be a critical success, kind of thing. You haven't had these kind of things. So like you're in a very different place and you can't really, you've got to, go from that kind of point of view.
Yeah. All right, but I think that will be our final point for. I think this. I didn't think we were going to go this long on this topic, but there's again that we said about every one of our topics.
You do generally.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely in the war games community there. But we're going to wrap things up for this week's show. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at GWBicer. There is links to my Discord and Patreon down below. And I'll be back later tonight for our regular nightly streams.
And, I'm Sharky, and you can find links to my content below. Join my Discord, join my YouTube channel. My Twitter's Nexus Games INC1. And, hopefully, like I said, hopefully we'll be doing some testing and playing of Neon Continuum this Saturday at the dev chat. But don't get your hopes up. But that's my goal, and it's a very, very far shot. And also, if you're not on my YouTube channel, come subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is again links down below. And I do game streams every Tuesday when I don't forget. I do dev streams, which I've been really good at lately, not forgetting. And I do dev streams where I'm working on Neon Continuum every Friday. And then every Sunday I do this show here with Josh. And you can see this on my channel with different layout kind of thing. And you watch them together. Just make sure you mute one or else it's going to cause a bad echo for you.
And we will be back next Sunday around 4:30 ET for our next show. So, as always, come back for the latest discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where examine the art and science of games. Until next time, everybody, have a great rest of your Sunday.
See ya.